Guns, good, bad? Let's let Jessica Chastain decide. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my apartment. Now today we are going to be talking about the film Miss Sloane. Now before I really dive into this review, just know that it is a film which takes a very divisive stance on gun control. This is kind of a big issue at the moment in the US, and so this film takes a stance on it and pushes that agenda. And kind of villainizes the opposition to an extent, while also doing a good job at showing little bias during really debatey parts. But just know that I'll be talking about this as a film and trying to limit my personal stance on the issue just very, very limitedly. So, yeah, know that before going in. Now, the general premise of this film is that we have a lobbyist played by Jessica Chastain. She is very, very good at what she does. And when this bill comes into her knowledge, which is going to try to make it so that gun lobbyists are able to push guns into more people's hands, Jessica Chastain decides to fight against this bill because it's so easy to get guns as it is already. We don't really need to push them into more people's hands and make them all that more accessible. So that's the general, very broad premise of this film. Jessica Chastain does a fantastic job in this movie, I thought. She's very cold, she's very stoic, but you do see this kind of fragile interior to her when she's not in public, and you see that she is not a perfect person. She has personal issues, social issues, and she does things to try to keep her very productive but also make her feel somewhat normal as a result. And that was kind of an interesting take on her character, and one that they didn't necessarily need to do, but did make her character all the more interesting when it kind of took a step away from the politics and just focused on her personal life. It made it a little bit more interesting, and honestly I think a bit more realistic in regards to what a lobbyist in this day and age might have to actually deal with. Mark Strong is also in this film. He is somewhat her boss in this film. He did also a good job. I enjoyed seeing him in a more serious role than what he usually ends up doing. The last thing I remember seeing him in was The Brothers Grimsby, which was terrible back in April, or March, one of the two. And so yeah, I'm glad to see him doing actual good work. Now this is a very slow moving movie. It relies very heavily on dialogue to drive the plot forward. Jessica Chastain does a good job doing that. This film relies 100% on her momentum in her role and pushing this film forward. She does a really, really good job doing that in her character, because she is in 95% of the scenes in this film. If she did not do good or play a captivating character, this film would have been a bore instantly. And for a 2 hour and 10-minute movie, that would have been very, very fatal. I was really interested in this thing from start to finish, and while it is a little bit slow at times, and it did have some aspects which I didn't necessarily think were necessary to the plot as a whole, I did find the film to be very, very enjoyable. And one thing I thought about as I was watching this film is that, while, like I said, I have my own personal stance on gun control and gun violence and all those issues, as I was watching the film, I figured, one, like, you could see the heroes which are portrayed in this film, Jessica Chastain's team essentially, as the villains if you are very heavily against what they're trying to do and very much in favor of what her opposition is trying to achieve. It's just kind of an interesting way these political films can kind of work sometimes, because while a film seems to put certain people in the protagonist position, they can also be seen as antagonists. And I really enjoy that when films do that, because it shows that there is a good kind of balance between those two ways of thinking. I also really enjoyed the ending, because it's a very calculated ending, and it has one of those endings which I really enjoy seeing, because it kind of takes a bunch of things from throughout the film and makes them into a very interesting conclusion, because you see a lot of different things fit into what ultimately is the resolution. And it just worked really, really well, and there was ultimately kind of an epilogue which shows, well, hey, real world consequences for what you do, and I enjoyed seeing that aspect as well. You guys, I ultimately did find myself enjoying Miss Sloane. I thought it was a very interesting film, a very captivating look at politics in this day and age in regards to lobbyists and what they ultimately have to do. I thought that Jessica Chastain did a great job in this role, and they utilized flashbacks, or I guess flash forwards, in this film very, very effectively. A lot of films try to do this and it feels very, very unfocused as a result. This film did it very effectively and it made the film a lot more interesting as a result. Guys, those are my thoughts on Miss Sloane. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, my people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.